We're so glad to have you. We're going to start in just a couple of minutes. We see a lot of people pouring into tonight's webinar, so we just want to give a few more people a chance to get settled and come in, since we see that a lot of people are trying to get in just a few minutes after the hour. Go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pen. We'd sure like you to be prepared and take notes. We're excited to have you here tonight, and we will start in just a couple of minutes, so hang tight. Hello and welcome to tonight's webinar. We are going to start just momentarily. We see many people pouring into this webinar, so we want to give everyone a chance to get on and be ready. Please grab a piece of paper and a pen. We're so excited to share information tonight on how to get funding for new consultants and also existing consultants alike. And we will start momentarily. So again, hang tight and we'll be with you momentarily. Hello and welcome to tonight's webinar. I want to welcome all of you to our VIP session for funding. That's right, if you are on this call, you are a VIP and you are personally invited to this webinar. I want to let you know that this is our beta launch for funding, and you will have access to this before we go nationwide. So we're really excited that you're on the webinar tonight. I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar, where we will be discussing nationwide funding for your business and your consultant's business. That is for either new consultants just starting out needing inventory, or existing consultants who have never gotten the chance to build their inventory. Either one, you are all welcome. Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Barber, president of My MK Leads, and I'm here tonight with Ray Sims, managing director of Capital Solutions Funding Group. Ray, are you with me?
I am here, and we're ready to go.
Hi Ray, well great. Well, we're excited to hear all about it, and I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. I know that on a Thursday night, as my wife of 21 years has informed me, is a great television night. So for those of you that are here this evening, and we have quite a few hundreds, as a matter of fact, that are here with us tonight, it means that you must be that much more dedicated to your business than you are to your television, and that's a great thing. So let me kind of start tonight by prefacing a little bit about what it is we hope to accomplish tonight, and really what you should take from this. Now, tonight's webinar is kind of a casual format in that we're going to go over the program in its entirety, but we've made some changes. And if you know anything about life, you know that the one constant in life is change. And change is something that we have to embrace, and both fortunately and unfortunately, things change consistently. So there may be some of you that are on this call tonight that were actually on the Tuesday night call. And if you are, you're actually going to get some new information. Some great things have transpired, and we've had to make a couple of adjustments in order to make those things happen. But all in all, we're going to do a brief overview of the program to give you a great idea of what it is we hope to achieve. Now, to that end, let's kind of talk about this for a moment. Funding for inventory. Why is that such a need, if you will? Well, it's kind of interesting. As Kelly mentioned, I am the Executive Managing Director of Capital Solutions Funding Group, and we specialize in a couple of different areas, but our primary specialty is in helping startup businesses and existing businesses gain the capital that they need to either build, grow, expand, or even start their companies. And with that, we have a lot of corporate partners. We've helped a lot of corporations get started, and we help a lot of corporations in their funding needs, both for their products and services and for the company themselves. Well, Kelly was referred, I guess, to me by the CEO of another company that is one of my clients. And in that referral, she had some unique things that she kind of proposed. So before we get to kind of what that uniqueness was as it relates to you as consultants, let's talk about kind of the base premise of what tonight is about. And I'm going to put a statement up here, and I want you to think about this statement for a moment, and we've gotten some raving feedback as far as this is concerned. The statement is, you don't have a closing problem, you have a funding problem. Now, let me kind of explain that so I can quantify that for you for just a minute. When I say you don't have a closing problem, let's talk about what your business means to the individual. And you may be sitting with, I don't know, 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 individuals a week. And all of those individuals, when you look at those people, you want to help them take control of their lives, to stop living a life of quiet desperation, and to truly excel in whatever it is they want to achieve. So you sit down with that individual, you start talking about your business, you start talking about how it's impacted your life and impacted the lives of those around you, and how you are driving forward and truly taking control of your business. And they become enthralled. They become excited. They think about all the possibilities, the fewer hours perhaps that they may have to work, or the life changes that they can make in their own families and with their own kids, the autonomy they can have to live life to its fullest. In effect, what you've done through your business is you have introduced them to that business. You've introduced them to the ability to do these things, and you have closed them on the concept of being self-reliant. You've closed them on the concept of being independent and autonomous, and you've closed them on a better life. But then it kind of gets to the end of the appointment, and they talk about funding for their inventory and how do I get started and what do I do next. And it's almost as if the oxygen gets sucked out of the room. And I can kind of feel some of you laughing out there, because you may have experienced this, where all of a sudden they feel like their dreams have just crashed. Why? Because they don't happen to have the cash sitting in the upper right-hand drawer at home ready to get started. Or perhaps they don't have the credit standing that allows them to access the funds that they need in order to really get going in the most impactful way in their business. So in effect, you don't have a closing problem. What you have is a funding problem. Imagine for a moment, and you can even write this down. Imagine for a moment that you sat down with 10 individuals in a given week, and maybe every team member also is sitting down with 10 individuals. Now, as I understand it currently, out of those 10 individuals, there may only be a number of those individuals who actually have the capacity to take advantage of the opportunity that you're putting in front of them because of the change in the economy and all the stresses that we've been under. But what if 7 or 8 or maybe 9 out of 10 now had the capacity to take advantage of the opportunity, had the ability to actually not just get into your business organization, but had the ability to get in such a profound way that with your guidance and with your tutelage, along with what we can do, it's going to create their success. Imagine how your group or your organization or your business would grow. That's really the premise. But I want to kind of take a step back in order to take a step forward so you can understand kind of how we got here. When Kelly and I first had a discussion, she kind of laid out a criteria for me. And she said, these are the things that we need, and I need you to find us a lender who can do these things. So I'm going to put these things up, and you take a look at them and tell me if they're fairly accurate. First, that lender or the funds need to be available in all 50 states, all across the United States. So we can't have states that are ruled out. They need to be available in all 50 states. They must offer the best rates and terms available based on the credit profile of the client. They must cater to both high and very low credit scores. So somebody who comes in with a 800 credit score, which is definitely a great credit score, that individual should be able to get the funding, and someone who comes in with a very low credit score should also be able to get the funding. They must cater to a wide variety of incomes, because we know some are stay-at-home moms, some individuals are in a business transition, some may have gotten laid off or displaced, if you will, economically. Some individuals may be working a full-time job and have a great income that's flowing in, but they're just looking at their options. So it needs to cater to a wide variety of incomes. It also must be available for those with and without a job, and must allow for co-signers just in case that individual doesn't have the credit standing that they need at that point in time. And it must fund the range of possible inventory purchases. So we know that there's a range of inventory purchases through your business, and it has to fund all of those steps of the range and be able to do that. And lastly, it must allow the funds to be used over a 90-day period, because with those funds, you may want to use some in the first month, some in the second month, and some in the third month, because it helps you qualify in doing that. So this was the base criteria, if you will, and that's a bit of a challenge. As a matter of fact, we commonly refer to that as a lending unicorn. In other words, it doesn't exist. It is a myth. To have all of those elements within one potential lending source is virtually impossible. Now, I know many of you who are probably on the line have been exposed to lenders, and some of those lenders offer loans in some states, but not all states. Some only offer them in a very limited number of states. Some of them cater to only low income or low credit score clients, and the rates are excessively high. I mean, we were speaking with one lender that is currently, I guess, being touted, and they had interest rates between 200% and 300%. It was insane. And yet we had those individuals who had great credit who, if they applied to that lender, would still be getting an excessively high interest rate. So all of these things, all of these components is kind of what we refer to here. It's a unicorn to try to find one lender. Now I'm going to expand on this in just a moment, but just stick with me so let's talk about the basis for the inventory funding program. We kind of scrapped all concepts of funding and started with a very basic principle, and that principle is the funding program has to be built for those individuals with troubled credit who are unable to be approved for traditional funding. This program has two main goals. Number one, to help new consultants get funding to start at the highest possible entry level. And number two is to provide access to funding for inventory purchases for current consultants. So, as Kelly said in our opening, we're not limiting this funding for just new consultants or just current consultants. It is for both. So if you find yourself being a current consultant looking to increase your inventory, you have the capability to do that. If you're on this call for the first time and you're a new consultant or considering becoming a consultant, you have the ability to also apply for the funding. So what did we create? Well, we do have a funding program that is available in all 50 states. We have to use multiple lenders to custom design your funding instead of just one lender. You will have your own personal loan advisor to guide you, and this is imperative. We're going to talk more about this in just a moment. Funding is available for everyone to apply, regardless of standing. All credit, all income types will be considered. The best possible rates and terms available. There will be no prepayment penalties or balloon payments. Co-signers will be welcome, and co-signers can be anyone who qualifies independently on their own. And most of all, we can have 10 to 15 second pre-approval. So you're not sitting around for 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 days wondering if you're going to get the funding. Once we have that pre-approval, there may be a couple of stipulations, which we'll discuss towards the end of our presentation here. But once we have that pre-approval, then we know that that lender, you're fitting within their criteria. Okay, so let's kind of push forward here for a moment. The primary thing that I want you to understand is that the secret is not found in a single lending source as we had started this program. By the way, this project has been, we're estimating, over a year in production, trying to put this together for just you, the consultants. And we've gone through thousands of single lending sources trying to find that one source that would fund this wide range of individuals, because for us, each client is almost like a snowflake. They have their own credit standing, they have their own lifestyle, they have their own incomes, their own challenges, and to find one source was not the secret. The secret is actually in the process and having multiple lending sources available based on each client. So each client is going to receive a customized lending solution based on where they are in life right now. So let's kind of look at this for just a moment. Let's talk about the process, since I said it was so important. Now, one of the key aspects for us is we register for an assessment. Let's talk about the assessment for just a moment. The assessment is kind of the pinnacle point for us to help determine and help our loan advisors determine which lenders are going to be the best lenders given your current state or given your current economics. Okay, with this assessment, it's a simple registration, but what we're able to do is, without affecting your credit in the least, we're able to view that credit and actually look for roadblocks that might get in the way, or be able to identify lenders that we know within our portfolio are going to help you get the funding that you need. So once that funding assessment is complete, we basically come down to one quick question. Do I qualify for any type of lending? Well, let's start with yes. Let's assume you qualify for lending. You will receive your funding status email, and that funding status email is going to be basically an email that's going to outline your current funding status as far as from a credit standpoint, where we think you're going to fit in with our lenders, and it's going to provide you also the ability to have a loan advisor contact you directly, go over your actual credit assessment, and be able to custom design a solution just for you. Now, once we've custom designed that solution, you get approved, and of course, from that point on, your inventory is funded. Now, let's go back to the middle of the chart for just a moment, and let's say for a moment that perhaps you don't qualify for any type of lending within our lenders currently. Don't panic. We will contact you for other credit options. So we have other options where we can help look at your credit, help you make changes that are going to improve your score. But at the same time, as we continue to add lenders, we're going to continue to offer those to those individuals who may not get turned down, or who may get turned down. Now, it's important to note here that for us to stay on this call with any level of sincerity and say every single person that comes in, we're guaranteeing you that you can get funding, that would be false. We can't guarantee everyone gets funding. As a matter of fact, our goal for this entire project is about a 60 to 70% rate as far as getting clients funded. So even, once again, if we go back to our original premise and say you're sitting down with 10 individuals who currently don't have the ability to take advantage of the opportunity that you're putting in front of them. Well, imagine now if you now have the ability to at least get 6 or 7 into your business, and all of your associates and them too will have the ability to go out and get 6 and 7 out of 10. That's our goal. So let's kind of move forward here for a moment, and let's talk about that process that we just talked about explained. So this is the exact same as what we saw on the chart previously. It's just not in chart form because a lot of folks don't like charts. So let's take a look. Step 1, we're going to register for our credit assessment on the inventory funding website. Now, we've set up a website, which is www.fundmyinventory.com. Now, this website currently has a countdown clock on it, which is incorrect because we've had to make a lot of technological advances in a very short amount of time. And as many of you know, we're moving into a holiday weekend. And as some of you know who have worked with programmers, they tend to be slow. So we have a lot of programmers who are working diligently, but they have told me that, in fact, what we had hoped, for those of you who were on the Tuesday call, what we had hoped for a Friday launch is actually going to be a launch on the following week, Monday. So that's Monday the 8th is going to be the actual launch when we're going to be able to go live. We have a lot of testing that we have to do, and we have to make sure that the process is completely streamlined for you so there aren't any errors. So let's go back to step one for a moment. Register for your credit assessment on the inventory funding website. Simple registration. Step two, you're going to receive an email with your credit status and a time to complete your loan application from one of our loan advisors. This is your consultation. This is the time where we custom design the loan for you for where you are currently. You're going to meet with your loan consultant, review your credit, customize your funding options, and guide you through the entire loan process. Now, by the way, this is done by phone. So it's a very simple meeting. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to meet with anyone. There's no Skype or anything like that. It's just very simple. And you're going to meet with that loan consultant, customize those options, and then we'll guide you through the loan process. Once we've guided you through that loan process, within 3 to 5 days of your final approval, you will receive an email from Capital Solutions Funding Group that we have received your funding, so you've been approved, and you can now enter your order. And we're going to walk you through that process of how to enter your order for the funds that are received. So that's our inventory funding process explained. Let's talk about some of the qualification criteria that will have to be met in order for you to be approved. Number one, you have to be 18 years or older and a U.S. citizen. So I've had a lot of phone calls over the week and say, what about people who are out of the country? Or what about people who don't have a social security number? Unfortunately, at this time, we're working on it. But at this time, they have to be 18 or older and a U.S. citizen. You have to have an open checking account that is in good standing, so it's not negative. And you must have some type of household income. Now, household income, let's talk about that for just a moment. First of all, household income is for those of you who may have a spouse, it's the entire household. That's the first thing. The second thing is it is gross income. It's not net income. I've had a lot of questions in reference to that from Tuesday. Gross income is the income that you have, the entire income, no matter what the source is. I don't care where it comes in from, but the entire income that you have as a household before anything is taken out, before taxes or any health plans or anything such as that is taken out. It's the gross income, not the net income. You must meet the minimal standards, and you must have a driver's license or proof of identity. Now, before I go any further here, let's talk about those minimal standards for just a second, because I just heard a bunch of people, at least vicariously I heard them, say, well, what are the minimum standards? The minimum standards, each lender has their own set of standards. So we're talking about standards that actually may be in excess of 19 different criteria. Everything from income to credit standing to time on job to do you own or rent a home? Do you own or rent a car? You know, there's a bunch of different standards by which they judge and decide on their lending package. Once again, this is the point of having our loan advisors, because when they meet with you and go over your current standing, we're going to be able to identify those lenders that are going to meet your current criteria. If possible, you should have proof of income available when applying, and proof of income can be really anything. I put some examples down here. It could be a W-2, which is a paycheck stub. It could be 1099 if you're self-employed, or last year's taxes or bank statements. Anything that's going to show that lender that the gross household income that you've stated on your application is actually the income that you're receiving on a gross scale. So that's the only qualification criteria that we have. So for many of you who've been going out and trying to get bank loans and things like that, you can see this is a very light amount of information that we need in order to try to get you approved. So with that, a couple of things we need to remember. First, we will email an update to you as soon as the funding site is complete and active and tested and ready to go. That's going to be on Monday, September 8th. And if you do have any questions or any concerns whatsoever, or perhaps something I haven't covered that you're wondering about, you can email me direct. And that is at rsims@capitalsolutionsfundinggroup.com. So once again, the premise for tonight was to help expand your thought complex, to understand what it is we're trying to create. And also as part of being, as Kelly had referred to it, kind of the beta to our testing as we're rolling this out, you're going to be able to provide us insight. And that insight for us is invaluable. We know we can't, as I stated before, we will not have a 100% success rate. But if we can get that to 60 or 70 percentile, that's actually by an industry standard excessively high. And that's truly our goal. The average lender, by the way, if anyone wonders, the average lender who deals in this type of lending for individuals typically hovers anywhere between an 8% and sometimes as high as 23% success rate in their lending. We're trying to boost that up by using multiple lenders and using our advisory staff to help guide you through it. We're trying to boost that up to about 60 percentile in order to do that. So once again, just to kind of encapsulate, if for a moment you stopped and imagined the number of people, and perhaps you may have a list of individuals. For those who have been consultants for quite some time, you probably have a list of individuals who you've spoken with who typically will get excited and they're floating and they're ready to go and they're so excited about taking control of their life. And then when it comes down to it, they just don't have the economic means to make it available. And so they give you answers like, well, let's try later, or why don't you call me later in the year, or so forth. With that list, you now have the ability to phone those people back and say, starting September 8th, we may have a solution, and we may have a way that you can get started, that you can take control of your life, that you can become an independent consultant just like I am. So that was the premise for tonight, was to kind of expand your thinking, to let you know what we're trying to create and how we're trying to create it. And Kelly, I'm going to ask you, is there anything else that you feel I didn't cover tonight that we probably should have covered?
Well, Ray, you did such a fantastic job. Thank you so much. And, I can't think of anything except that I just love that really this is essentially a one-stop shop, meaning that, each person can come and, like you said, if they have great credit and great income, they can get approved and get a great interest rate. If they have low credit, no credit, everyone essentially has a shot at this and can get approval, a lot better ratio than going any other direction in traditional lending. And that's what was presented to me. I think we talked about that at the beginning, but it was so exciting because, several people came to me and just said, Kelly, we can't get funding for inventory anymore. And it's so frustrating. And you're right, Ray. We've been working on this project for almost a year, so it's very exciting. Super excited to bring this project to fruition and to help as many individuals as they can to make that dream become a reality in their business and to take their life and change it in a positive direction. How exciting is that? I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, and that was the goal from the start. And I know that we've accomplished that goal. Now it's just a matter of getting it out to everyone. And I said we'd keep tonight to about 30 minutes. If I didn't say it, then I should have said it, because I just thought to myself I didn't say that. But we tried to keep it to 30 minutes because we know that you have families and you have things that are going on and so forth. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for being here this evening. I'm going to leave the screen up for a few moments for those of you who need to go grab a pen or a pencil and jot down my email just in case you have questions. So feel free to do that, and I look forward to helping everybody. I'm so excited about Monday, September 8th. And with that, we wish you a wonderful evening, and we thank you for investing in the time to be here and investing in the time for your business. Good night.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.